Okay,
They don't need to hear about the denial of service.
all right.
You want to read all the real stuff.
Now these, since CMS is down, I was not able to get any of the stats for this month, or for last month. And so essentially what we have is like what we had last month. Last year's counts were 52 in Iowa and 25 in Nebraska. And three in January and 4 in January for Nebraska. And again, these are the stats to show it again. 0 and 2 on, and then this month, last year, this year. Got our meeting numbers here. Our stats, same as last year, last month. Investigator case review. Keen's not here. I don't think he's online either, but I can talk about this case. He observed the audited UAP descend from sky at approximately trajectory directly between buildings and then ascend at approximately 6 degrees. This happened over Des Moines. And we've got a little video to play for it. This came in as a kind of a third person report. Let's play the video. Did you share sound when you?
We'll find out when people complain.
I don't hear anything at all.
Always something. Okay, let's stop share real quick. Try to share again. We have option, share sound.
I didn't even hear it here though. That's
Yeah. The whole screen.
Should optimize for the video too.
All right. Why don't-
Video.
audio.
Look in the background here.
No audio.
Yeah, we're not getting any audio on this.
You gotta go out totally. You gotta go out from share screen and click on audio.
we did.
Yeah, I mean, the other audio should be working. Do I click this?
It's playing out of that speaker.
Maybe
It's
it's
the one in
really.
the middle of the room, not the rest of the ones like on the overhead. So he used the
Oh,
to the right, the computer, or to the left of the computer. Might be able to- Yeah, that's.
the what? Yeah,
Yeah.
come.
Oh, this is a different one than we used to. If you go down to the output, down at the bottom,
Oh, he's technical difficulties.
just go to sound settings
And
and then do speakers.
All right, yeah, that should work.
And-
Yeah, I don't know why it switched over to that. And then I hit
hopefully
it.
that works now.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, then try the other one. Because it's like the crate and that one. Creston. Or it's even worse.
Meeting ID.
Okay, let me stop share for a second. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't think there's anything on there. That's for the room.
So you're getting some audio through that, through the little microphone in the center.
Yeah, so wouldn't the output be coming out of here somehow?
Not usually.
Oh, here it is.
Maybe it is just this room.
Yeah.
All right, looks like we might have it. Let us know if you can hear this video. So we'll share this one, everything's optimized. Big screen, play.
Look in the background here. Looks like a UAP.
Somebody's talking.
So there's two, there's the video clip, there's two audio.
Oh, okay, yeah, there's two, yeah.
Cause it's probably, there is recording these now. It's important.
Are we just looking for? Even, where's our people at?
Who's our people?
All right, here this is at speaker galley. Yeah, but why does it disappear when I do that? All right, so are we looking at, is the audio important or no, Greg?
Yeah, we can get by on this video without the audio. We probably get by with all of them without the audio.
Okay, because yeah, there's another guy in the background and it's too loud, so.
All right. Hopefully everybody's able to see that.
Yeah, there was no audio, just so everybody, I can't hear anything.
Okay, watch this see that right there. It's kind of hard to see, but back up here a little bit. And if you look up in the right towards center part, just past the building. Essentially you see what looks like
Yeah. Yeah, we're looking over here.
Now, this video was taken from a TV and then reported by the witness, and it came out from the Des Moines, Iowa area. So I mean, the witness was in Michigan or Minnesota. I don't remember which state, but he reported it. And Keene did the investigation, and since it was third party, what we did was we put it as information only. Now, I gave Keene the opportunity later to, we could have changed it to IFO because it's obviously a bird that's flying past there. You can actually see the wings flap. So, and we probably should have changed it to IFO, but it was Keene's call. I let him say one way or the other. So anyway, that's that particular case.
I don't know, it wasn't in slideshow mode for some reason.
Mm.
Alright.
All right. This one's, what the heck? What case is that?
Oh, I can move that thing. Oh, there it goes.
Yeah, this is Dave Kreider's case. Dave, can you hear us? Yeah,
Yes,
you
I
hear us?
can, but I didn't know that I had a case this time around.
This is
I
that,
think I presented.
yeah, you presented at the Iowa meeting, but you didn't present this one at the Nebraska.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, maybe you did. No, you did. Never mind.
It was a test.
We already,
Okay.
You guys.
hey, we're batting 1,000 today, so. All right, let's go on to this next case. This is case 136325, happened on January 15th of 2024 at around 9 o'clock. It started over Waterloo, Iowa. Multiple lights moving in different directions. As you can see by this map here, I've got several arrows because what happened is the witness was an airline pilot that was flying a 747. The synopsis is a pilot flying a 747 cargo plane at 40,000 feet over Waterloo, Iowa on January 15th, 2024 at around 2100 saw lights in the sky that would glow and dim and change direction. This lasted for 2 hours as they flew to Los Angeles. Although going 500 miles per hour, the objects seemed to never get closer. This was witnessed by the first officer and the pilots as well. And they go on with their detail to say the witness, being a pilot, is used to making observations in the sky. The witness told how he had seen UFOs multiple times, but that this was unique in the amount of time it lasted, along with the fact that there was more than one witness. The witness was surprised that they never got any closer to the objects over the two time frame that he and the first officer surmised that the object may have been over the Pacific Ocean, even though the initial sighting was in Iowa. He said that 3 other airlines that he contacted via VHF responded with "wow." The objects were reported to brighten up for 15 to 30 seconds to a bright white with a little blue tint, and then dim down to a reddish orange speck. They said that they really watched them from western Iowa to past the Rockies when they had to prepare for landing. The witness speculated that it would have been tremendous size for them to have seen it at so distant, at such a distance. He says you can only see lights from a 747 at 20 miles distance. It seemed to be as bright as Venus, but Venus was not in the western sky at this time. Again, he said he normally will see these objects, but the sighting never lasts over 15 minutes, and they dim out or zoom off in the distance. He also sees most of his sightings when over water on international flights. He mentioned that luckily they had smooth air, as it was hard to get a night shot when they're moving around with turbulence. I asked him if he really wanted to answer the no to the anonymity question, that he was not concerned, as he was a UFO enthusiast and points these things out to people all the time. I asked if things are loosening up as for pilots reporting things, and his response was, "Yeah, I don't think there's any scandals over pilots reporting UFOs. Now I think there's a stigma about it until you show them something yourself. There's a lot of skepticism, and you just explain to them that this is how satellites behave. Satellites can't change direction. They can't change speed. They don't change luminosity, and they're tiny compared to what you're seeing. It's very easy to identify satellites or space stations or asteroids or meteors, but anything that changes direction, changes speed, or dramatically changes luminosity. The satellites don't have lights on them. Yeah, well, I guess Elon Musk has got those ion drives and the Starlink stuff, and I've seen those, and they're really cool to see at night, but there's nothing like UFOs. And I've got some, this is the flight path that the plane was taking. I got this from Flight Radar 24, flying again over the plane right there is kind of over the Waterloo area. Here's when it was going over the Waterloo area, what was in the area. The western sky, you had Jupiter up there, it was pretty bright. Now, here are 3 separate shots. Now, the problem with, these are 3 separate shots that were taken pretty close to one another, but there was no EXIF data available on the pictures. So I don't know the sequence of them, but you can see you've got some similarities. You've got this same like town here in the bottom. And if you measure from here, let's say that middle picture from the town up to the bright object, and you do some similar measurements over here, the measurements are similar but different. So it, like I said, and different lights appeared over that frequency of time. You've got that one light that there seems to be one light that's there all the time, but then you've got these other lights. This one's starting up here, and then you've got the two others.
You don't know how quick they were taken?
No, but there was no exit data available to me. It just there were two witnesses, the first officer and the pilot. And these are first officer pictures that he took, and they were sent kind of secondhand, so I didn't get that. And here's kind of a video to show. It's kind of hard to see, but if you look right in this area, you'll see a bunch of lights that kind of seem to come out of nowhere. There's one there. I'll play it again here. It's almost like comets. Yeah, a meteor shower. But you know, but when you kind of look at it,
One more time.
when you look at it here, if you watch the town below on this particular video, it looks like they're flying fairly fast. If they're, you know, at that point, they were flying. So that might be a time lapse, and those might actually be planes. But again, there was no location given for this particular video, and I couldn't get the location. So. And then see what we got. And so that's that. And essentially, I feel that this was a good witness because of his observation skills and awareness of what's in the night sky. I think that based on the size of the objects in the pictures, that they would indeed have been enormous if seeing them all the way to the Pacific Ocean. Therefore, I think that the objects were closer and moving westerly as the plane did. The video is very interesting as the objects seem to be coming from a certain area of the sky, moving toward the plane. However, this behavior is like a meteor shower, but could not be seen in the western sky at the time. There were no meteor showers that were in that part of the sky. So I had called this an unknown other, and I think the important part about this was the pilot actually saying that there isn't as much stigma now for pilots reporting things.
Question.
Yeah.
Yeah, if the 747 is coming out of Chicago and it's over Iowa and Nebraska in the middle of the route, it's gonna be pretty close to its, apogee or its highest altitude, being in the neighborhood of 35,000 feet. When flying at 35,000 feet, the ground doesn't move past you that quickly, so this ground rush procedure must be a sped up motion video. Therefore, the objects move faster moving than what they actually were too. I'm making a lot of assumptions there, but is the altitude 35,000 feet there? It is. Why is the ground moving so quickly in relationships to the frames? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely you did. Fast, I suppose that's right, that the objects would be moving faster and coming toward you. And you're talking about even at the 40,000 feet on those first pictures, the objects, if they were above the Pacific, I mean, you have to account for the curvature of the Earth. And they not only would be humongous, but they would be way high, and they'd be in space, actually, if they saw them. Another question.
Do you think that it was what he meant was they were seeing them throughout the entire flight? Pacific?
They were seeing those on the. They saw several objects as they were flying.
But like throughout the entire journey of, like, it wasn't just over Iowa that they were seeing them.
Right,
It was to the Rockies.
He said that they saw them all the way from Iowa. They saw them until they had to start to do their descent into Los Angeles, and they had to concentrate on that. But and he said he normally only saw those he would see them in the past, but it wouldn't last for more than 15 minutes.
And do you know what time the flight like was scheduled?
It was, it was at 9 o'clock when they went over Waterloo, Iowa. And I don't remember the exact times on the flight.
We played the video one more time to get a sense of the ground speed versus the plane.
Yeah,
That's a big clip for 40,000 feet, I think.
yeah,
That's more like 10,000,
yeah.
but then the buildings would be more like. So I don't know, it's just like a setup motion.
But it looks like he might be focused in too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're at 40,000 feet, but his camera's focused in down, so you're gonna see.
All right.
So the
Now
ground
it's
is
zoomed in.
zoomed in, so he zoomed out.
Because there's funky resolution going on, like the resolution's like super low on like all that ground, because if we look at each of those communities, that's actually a big, amount of distance.
Because when you're at 40,000 feet, the more you're gonna be looking at this. It's pretty small.
They have to be like at 10,000 or less than in here.
Yeah, but if he has it zoomed in on his cell phone, then he's gonna, it's gonna look closer. That's why it looks like he's moving really fast.
It's boxes, I think like the roadways and stuff. Looks like we're looking at-
Somebody asked a question about, let's see if I can stop here. They want to know there's a light right here that's traveling and stuff between the ground and the plane. Like this particular video, again, this was a video that was presented from the first officer.
Speed.
And I'm still not so sure, based on whether or not those couldn't be actual planes that are coming in. And this video, like I said, is different than the pictures that were given to me originally.
That one that's flashing, that one's kind of flashing.
Yeah,
It was at one time, but
see, it's going, yeah.
Did they say why they were taking these photos? Was it just like a time lapse of the whole flight, or?
No, they were taking them because they saw those objects out there in the sky.
Saw with their eye and then they started the video.
Yeah,
I've heard of other pilots reporting the same kind of thing where they see them off in the distance, they're like going almost like in a racetrack. They see
Yeah.
one or two or three, see
What's
one or
this?
two or three.
I'll come in.
I don't know, it's acting weird.
Usually whenever it's their standard procedure, whenever they see lights, they don't know how they turn off all the lights in the cockpit.
I don't know why we don't have our little picture either.
Yeah,
That's
all right.
But then we know that. We just-
This is Sparta's and Fred's case.
Yeah. John, you want to do your case here? You can come up.
There's a video.
Yeah, a video, yeah.
Morning. All right, so this is case 135252. Not sure what we wrote up there. So the witness described, they said they were enjoying a fireworks show from their backyard. They saw a very bright star-like object in the distance. I pulled out my phone to take a picture and found a very detailed UFO. Upon putting my camera on it, it pulsated at times and had a weird shadowed area that would move up and down and left side of the craft on the second night. July 9th, I was watering my vegetable garden and saw a similar bright star. I pulled out my phone and it was the identical craft I saw on June 24th, 2023. Its placement in the sky on July 9th was a little further south than the first encounter, which is also directly west on June 24th. So I took in investigating this, let's play this video, I think, here.
It looks like a star. It is not a plane. A plane can't look when I zoom. It should still look like a star. Why does it pulsate? Why is it doing that? Dude, that's really weird. Whoa.
You'll notice that the fireworks are also out of focus.
Why does it
Shows
pulsate
none
then?
of that.
Yeah. Oh, stop. That's the fireworks. There's the moon up in the tree. There's the moon up in the tree. The moon is right. I don't care what I look like. There's the moon. Look, looks like the moon. Still, no, it doesn't. It looks like the moon. I'm zoomed in all the way. That looks like the moon. Okay, no, I don't care. You come up here, looks like a star. You zoom in on that son of a bitch, and sure enough, it's a weird thing. Dude, that's weird. Why is it
I
doing
think that little black notch is their finger. Yeah, unintentionally in the lens.
The screen, right? It's so
Yeah.
Could be
It's
like
been
a
a-
little bit of a tree or like a leaf or something. Yeah.
But I looked through, there was 4 videos like this, of the 2 incidences, and I did find, you know, where it was in sharp focus, and that's the picture you see on the right.
It looks like a star. It is not a plane. A plane can't. Look, when I zoom.
Now we get to the next one here. So I did some checking out stellarium, and on both days, directly in the west, is Venus is in that direction. This is June 24th and July 9th. So I didn't get to talk to the witness directly as an interview. I had sent an email to them and did get one reply that she was in the hospital, and didn't get to reply back right away. Indicated she had more videos. Tried to work a way to get them to me. I never got them, and as far as I got. So I believe what we saw here is Venus. So we classified it as an IFO.
On that first day, we did see the ISS was flying over, but it would be.
Yeah, she also indicated it was stationary in the sky for approximately an hour, so not moving.
Yeah, right at that time at 10 o'clock, it was, the ISS was flying over, you know, so like, man, there it is. No, it's stationary.
So-
Smoke and fireworks was causing this quasi pulsating effect that she said, or?
I think the pulsating effect is more the camera way it was trying to focus on an object, and it just camera, right?
When she zoomed in on it, and she said that it looked like the moon.
Well, I think
Essentially,
she changed direction and focused on the moon and said, look, there's the
Well-
moon.
Venus would have a crescent too,
Yeah,
would, you know, so.
so. That's why I had the picture on the right. I think that's what she really saw. It
Yeah.
just happened to focus one time. And that was the weather at the time. That's it. Any questions?
All right. This case is 13, pardon me?
You get 20 minutes.
20-minute limitation?
gonna pull the canine.
Pull the plug on Fred. Yeah, I've been taking too much time with my cases, since I enjoy my cases extremely amount. Well, this is case 136127. It is, as you see, over in Oskaloosa, star down a little bit below. You can see Oskaloosa. Oskaloosa is about 50 miles north or southeast, southeast of Des Moines. So we'll be looking around Oskaloosa area. This case is a historical case. It's an ERT case as well as a sighting. This individual was out taking a nurse back home. And I will say that right off the get-go, it happened in, he has an event as of June 8th, 2000. And I'll give you the case disposition, that of insufficient data, because like some ERT cases, the people really want, in this case too, they really want to talk about their case. They haven't talked to anybody about it because they're really scared to talk about the case. I've had other ERT cases happen the same way, where the person really wants to talk and then they'll ghost me. I mean, they'll just totally go off in the distance. And this is the same case where I spoke with the individual just via text message, never called me, never talked to me over the phone. And he says, I really want to get this case out because he had a cancer of his esophagus and he felt possibly this might be an issue with the UFO and this and that. And he felt like he was dying, you know, but medications were working with him. So there's a lot of those strange things going on with this individual. And I talked with it, or I texted him and I sent him with an ERT case. I usually try to help him out, trying to get over he's very fearful, extremely fearful of what happened to him. And I'll go through that as I read the narrative with you and how it happened to him. And I sent him some of my ET experiences to kind of ease him down a little bit. So like, you're not the only person that had him, you know, and this and that. And I sent him a video of Sherry Wilde, W-I-L-D-E. And Sherry Wilde is one of the well-known ET abductees. And she had cases of the gray ETs. In fact, she too, in the very beginning, she was scared to death. You know, I mean, she was really totally frightened of her ET experiences. And this is back in the 80s and the 90s. And she had a plethora of ET encounters. And so that moved her through it. And now she's written her books. And now she even has communications with Da. Da is the name of her ET Gray that she has communications with. And she continues to do that very much the same way as Christy Patterson here in Omaha. She got with our support group here in Omaha. And Christy too was very scared about him, you know, but over the years, now she's a psychic medium, and now she has her own little video and her own books coming out with it. So everybody comes out on their own time. So this individual is, as I spoke, I sent all this information, and over the time, and since he lived in Lincoln, right now, I was going to get with Max, and Max was one of our field investigator trainees, and I said, great. I said, well, come on down like on a Monday after Max works, and we'll meet him at his house, since he requested an in-person interview, which is usually not normal. We always talk over the phone, but in his case, it's an ERT case, and maybe, you know, I'll just do another step forward to kind of appease him a little bit so that he doesn't want to talk on the phone. I don't know why he doesn't want to talk on the phone, but I had Max. So that was always kind of our step two with our investigations, that we always go with two people. So with that in mind, this is his little narrative. He says, this happened in 2000. I was a nurse back then. So he had, I guess he said maybe has some sort of credentials in nursing. He was working at a nursing / healthcare center there in Oskaloosa. So here's so here's another picture, and you can see Oskaloosa down in the left-hand corner. And then you can see Delta down on 92. You can see the town of Delta to the far right lower corner. So then he said, I was a nurse back then, and my fellow nursing colleague and best friend, let's call her Tammy, was my nightly person to take home. So Tammy evidently didn't have a car, so the witness would take Tammy home at night. She would work from, I think, 2 in the afternoon to 10 o'clock at night. So then he said, my boyfriend and I at the time went with us. So he jumps in the car, he goes over to the nursing home, picks up Tammy and his best friend, let's call him, I think it's Ray. And so they got at work, we stopped up, picked up Tammy at 10 or 10:30, went, and then they drove the Delta from Oskaloosa. They drove the Delta, which is about 16 miles away, straight east. And where he said, we ate supper and we watched Jerry Springer. So what kind of fun do you have in central Iowa? Times at night. So there's a lot of, again, there's a lot of drama and a lot of stuff with this individual. And the weather was nice and we went to go home, and he said, we ate supper and watched Jerry Springer. So they take off around 12:30, and they chose, and he said, I chose to go to Wat Shear, which you go north of Delta. You go up and you see Wat Shear, and they went up Highway 21. So they drove over on 92 to Delta, then up 21 to Wat Shear. So he said, we chose to go to Wat Shear and take the parallel road back home instead of taking Highway 92. It was faster and you can speed and it's less trouble. He said, we got out of town about a mile out of Wat Shear. And after you take this left turn, you're heading west out of Wat Shear to your left on the map. And he said, again, he said, we took a left onto the parallel road, and we know more than that. We got on the road. He says, they took us. And I don't know what he meant by took us, evidently you got abducted. And then he said, we woke up in New Sheraton. And so you look over here, go across, and you see Lacey, and then you go straight north to upper left, and that's where New Sheraton. I could say this, I can use a little video here. So here's Delta. They drove over to Delta to spend time with and had supper and watched Jerry Springer. And then they drove up to Wat Shear right here. Then they drove along the county road right up here over to Lacey. And then they said he found himself in New Sheraton in my car at 4:30 to 5 o'clock in the morning. So if they left at 12:30, that's only a 20-mile drive to New Sheraton from Wat Shear. So there's 20 minutes, shouldn't take you more than 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes maximum to get to New Sheraton. So that would have been maybe 1 o'clock in the morning. So he wakes up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. And then he states, I don't know what was going on, and we didn't know where we were at. The car came to a stop, and the radio came on, and it sounded like somebody just turning the volume up on us. And he said, we were normal, but we knew something was wrong, and we looked at each other, and we were paying it because we were almost like we were drugged and coming out of amnesia. So here he is running in New Sheraton. They stopped, the radio turned on, and they felt like they were under some sort of amnesia, anesthesia, I should say. So my friend and I were so frightened that we called Tammy and told her what had happened and woke her up out of bed. We locked ourselves in our house for days afterwards. I was so scared I couldn't do normal things like I used to. I stopped, then he said he stopped taking Tammy home, driving Tammy home because he's so frightened. So I took her home for 4 years, probably before that, and then I stopped taking her home then. But then about 2 weeks after, 2 or 2 weeks later, I was by myself, and Tammy had asked for a ride home, desperate, and she said that she was desperate and being taken home, and I guess. And so he was on his, had taken Tammy home, and then on his way back on Highway 92 at around 12 or 12:30 at night, he said, I heard this whistling noise, like the pressure was more than it was supposed to be. And then I could hear this high-pitched whistle of this kind, hum, coming towards me. He said, I panicked and I thought, well, they're going to take me. I'm going to fight. And I slammed on the brakes of his car as hard as I could, and I threw the car in park. I jumped out of the car and I darkish, blackish, gray craft flew straight up in the air. And I started shouting up in the air, trying to tell them to leave me alone. So he said, I was emotional in writing you, and I kept this all myself all these years. So it's been 20-some plus years that he's knew about this case. Now he's just coming forward with this case. So I recently found I've had a tumor in my throat, and I wanted to get this off my chest before I die. To this day, I'm mortified that they're going to take me again. I would love to talk to somebody, and I would love to have somebody talk to Ray and Tammy, because I haven't spoken to them in years, and I guarantee you the exact story would come out of Ray and Tammy. And so then he says, to this day, I lock my doors and windows, and I make sure I don't go out at night by myself. I'm 46 years of age. My birthday's coming up, same person. He said he was in nursing for 16 years, and he was a cosmetologist and barber, professing, and he calls himself a professor, and he teaches prerequisites for a barber and cosmetology. He said, I recently moved to Nebraska with my brother. We share a house because I was sick and I can't work much more anymore. My mom and dad are sick, so I moved away from Iowa. And he'd lived in Iowa for 27 years. He said, he saw a news piece, evidently a UFO news piece, and on Channel 5 in Des Moines. And I said, I've been trying to work up the courage to tell someone, and I figured I better do it now before it's too late. I haven't spoken to Tammy or Ray for many years, but I'll be willing to try and track them down. So when I did that, so I said, I looked up Ray and I looked up Tammy, and I found an article on Ray, and he had, the witness had told me that since he had been talking to him, that Ray was kind of in drugs. And I did find an article where he was arrested, turning a right turn on red, and they found meth on him. And so here again, people who have these types of situations, I don't know how to do it, and now it's not time to go to drugs, and of course it's just a lifestyle. He being possibly mostly likely a gay man, they're very emotional, and dramatical, which again, Jerry Springer. The fun was Jerry Springer, I have to play with that one. But anyway, so I found out about the articles, and I found out where Tammy lives, and I kind of sent them to him, said, well, here's Tammy, and here's Ray, and this is what I found on him, And so I don't know whether that kind of stopped him, like I found out about this, and maybe he had other ideas about that. I don't know. So then he said, I'm tired of feeling afraid, and I'm being afraid to say something. And then he says, and then this lately, he says, I was laying on my bed about a week or two ago, and I swear I heard the same sort of humming. And it's like I knew that it was the same time or the same noise and the pressure, and they didn't get me this time. I don't understand why all this time I would hear this sound and recognize that all these years, and that they would have found me. So here again, this is typical ET abductee, they think they can drive away or sleep away, or a lot of times people who are experiencers, they take a nighttime job so that they don't have to deal like going to sleep, and then if during the daytime, then they can sleep normally and not be affected by the ET, because they always do it at nighttime, right? So they take a nighttime job. So this is it, and then again, I went with Ray. I was going to go see Ray at the interview with Max, and I texted him. I said, I got an hour drive. I said, are you going to be there at 2 or 3 o'clock this afternoon? I did not get a response. I said, I'm not going to drive. So I texted him again. I said, I'm not going to drive an hour down there and not have you be there. So call me and let me know what's going on. He never called. And I said, eh. So I think he got really spooked, and I think he just clammed up, and he got his kind of his information to us and so forth. So I thought it was a really kind of exciting case. We had an ERT case, and then the sighting. I wish I could talk to him a little more about what he saw with the craft and things of that nature, but that's the case. I think it's actually kind of a fun case. I wish there was more to it, and then we had to be able to talk with the individual a little bit more. But this is what happens. People climb up and they get frightened, and that's the way it is. All right. Any questions?
Ray, I have a question for you.
Sure, Jim.
Did he have any type of implant around his ears that he knew of?
No, he never spoke about implants or anything of that nature. No.
Okay.
Okay.
What do you make of the personality type that kind of, you described it as fear-based, but, I'm only gonna talk to someone in person. Narrowing down and putting a power move like that, I'm not gonna do anything until I'm only gonna speak under these conditions. What do you make of that kind of approach from a witness?
Maybe he's checking. Maybe he was. I have no idea. So why he wanted it in person? I mean, a lot of times, you know, there's people are afraid, they don't want to talk. He even says, I don't drive alone at night anymore. He even said that in his letter to me, I don't drive alone at night. This guy is very fear-based. And I don't know why he wouldn't want to talk on the phone. And he said there was something wrong with the phone and he'd have to do audio text to me. He said he couldn't type it. You know, so there's all these little excuses of contact with me, you know, so I don't know what the deal is with him.
Well, I don't know that it's that much different. We not long ago on the Facebook page, and I suppose it's gonna be posted. This is my way of comment. Someone who said, MUFON Group Omaha is worthless. Nobody calls me back. I'm only gonna talk under these circumstances. I'm not gonna do it any other way. And we're like, here's our number. Nobody ever called me. I left a message. Nobody ever called me back. These kinds of,
I know, I understand that point, Steve, but again, with ERT people, I've had several people with ERT cases. And he says, you're the only other person I've ever spoken to other than my wife. And this guy was normal, very sane, has a very nice degree. He had brain bleeds from, he thinks, possibly from the ETs. But he was very normal, lived in Salt Lake, he was a Mormon, you know, but went to church, very normal person. You know, he works within the church. Very normal person, but never spoke out about it because of the issues of, you know, I'm not crazy, you know, and once I spoke to him, he said, I'm very happy to have spoken to you, knowing that you're an experiencer, you know, of that nature. So, but I can understand that.
let's get cautious.
Oh,
How
absolutely.
do you know that you're the first one they've ever spoken to? And is that a ploy? And I'm concerned about those things.
I could feel that he was telling me the truth. So he can be empathetic with the person, show him stuff. He was just very, you know, with me and had his wife right there with him. He spoke with me. I said, oh, your wife's there with you? He said, yeah, she's with me. So she's understanding. I wanted her to understand what I'm going through.
Well, to hear that he wasn't alone, that
Right.
there were two other people and whatever, Jerry, they were doing it.
Gary, yeah.
To have potentially corroborating.
Well, here again, I'm not stereotyping gay men. They're usually very dramatic and very emotional, you know, and they take things to extreme, you know, and with his fear of the ETs and so forth. So he's been harboring this for 20 some years, not able to talk to anybody about it. But yet when push to shove, people will walk away because they don't want to go any further. So.
I mean, I think I'm gonna push back
Pushing out.
a bit on
Can we
that.
pass the mic down real quick? Steve?
Just because. What was the person that you shared the video?
You said you'd shared a video.
Match that, say, here's this woman that was really, really scared, but now she's come forward and it really wasn't scary at all after a while. It was just my feelings and so forth. And now she's writing books about it and coming forward. So then I was trying to future pace him a little bit and told him about my ET experiences to help them through the process of talking about it. So I always feel like you get in a room and if you start talking about the experiences, all the other people that were afraid to talk will say, well, he can talk about it, then I'll talk about mine then. This is like a safe zone, you know?
Yeah.
So being maybe at his house, he was in a safe zone, you know, and things of that nature, didn't want to do anything other than that. So I gave him the credit of coming down to see him as long as I had Max with me. Then Max could do the sighting part and I could do the ERT part. So I thought it was a fun case. Could have been more potential to you there, but no, that was it. Thanks.
Sounds good. Yeah, thanks for presenting.
Did I do my 20 minutes?
You went over.
I went over?
Yeah.
By the way,
2 minutes. 22 minutes. I got it.
Hey, man, I keep track of it. Are you doing news next?
Well, there's a bunch of stuff. Your stuff.
Or am I next?
Yeah, you're
Okay,
next.
I'm next. All right, guess I'm up next. My section, I had this email I think I was gonna read off. Oh, this one, I don't know if you wanted to talk about it. I'll play we'll see if the clip works.
How the email is set up, I just use bits and pieces of his information and tied it together with House Representatives.gov, and it was one of the emails that did not come back as undelivered. So I was like, well, it went out anyway. It went out to Tim Burchett at House Gov, whatever I said the email was. And I figured I'd get a response from him, but of course I didn't. But then at the end of this video, he mentioned something that sounds kind of in the same vein as what I was trying to get at with my, I'll call it a hypothesis, something that I think is worth considering, but I can't prove any of it, of course. But my impression is that we're all being visited, whether we believe it or not. We may not understand it. We may say that's impossible for 8 billion people to get visited. What do you think he is, Santa Claus? But that's the impression I got. That's the hypothesis I'm presenting. So I presented it to him. He said at the end of an interview that I thought was pretty striking. Well, not striking, but interesting. I don't know. You look at it and you tell me. Could be anything.
No, I thought it was interesting too, especially given, what you were talking about with when you did your presentation here, about how everybody's being visited and stuff. So I thought it fit in right after you sent the email and then they're talking about this on the news. I'm like, it seems to be a connection there.
So the fight.
I think a lot of the data points in that direction too. Like as a general, I think it's pretty good.
All right, we'll play this. Might be loud for us.
I just wondered. But since he's got an unlisted email, he doesn't dare respond back.
Yeah.
For transparency related to UAPs or UFOs is moving forward at the federal level. In fact, the Inspector General of the intelligence community confirming that he has in fact scheduled a classified briefing next Friday. Now, this is going to be to discuss more information about UAPs with the House Oversight Committee. This meeting comes after members of the committee sent a letter requesting more details about the federal government's knowledge, research, and retrieval of UFOs. But this meeting will be held in a secure room where all information is going to be private and not to be shared with anyone on the outside. We are hearing from Tennessee Representative Tim Burchett about his concerns, though, about this upcoming meeting.
The thing you got to worry about when you go into the skiff, if they tell you something, even if you already knew it or suspected it, you're not supposed to be able to talk about it. So I'm sort of leery of these meetings where they tell you a bunch of stuff and just to keep it secret and further entangle you in this little web of deceit.
Remember, it was last summer when former intelligence official David Grush broke his silence and accused the U.S. government of covering up these secret UFO programs. He then testified that federal officials are in possession of crashed, non-human vehicles. Now, Burchett says testimonies like that are the reason that he and his colleagues continue pushing for answers.
I think it's coming in from all over the country, if not the world now. But I think Congress is we really woke up a sleeping giant. Turns out everybody just about has a UFO story.
All right, again, that meeting is going to be next week, but just how much information?
Yeah, pointing out that was the one spot where he said, he kind of stutters a bit. He's like, just about everybody seems to be.
He was going to say everybody and just leave it that everybody's got a UFO story. But then you realize that in the sound card, like you said, just about, I don't know, people use that kind of vernacular all the time, so it could just be coincidence that I just happen to be old, hey, I think everybody's getting visited, and then he just basically says it, kind of, in a way that sounds very familiar to us all, though, so I don't know what to make of it.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting.
So the fight for transparency related.
Then we had a request, email request I found for our Hub Ogden collection, thanks to Steve. We get a few requests for different materials in here. We don't have Roger. I need to talk to him about getting this thing, but we had one request in the past for one on the Shermer case for the newspaper article that we had that was in better condition than the one in England. They had something there, and you're like, oh, well, ours is in very good condition. Can we see yours? So I took a picture and sent it to them. So that was that one. And then we had another one here, where the person who contacted me was saying that their uncle was Paul Francis Rents, went by PF. Long story short, there was a rift in the family. They took off, never contacted anybody, but they started doing some genealogy, and they found that their uncle had a particular interest in a whole bunch of different things, and then apparently committed suicide in 1983. So this is kind of in the past when a lot of this, when he was active. They go on to say that he was a genius, literally could pick up it and master so many different trades. He was an artist, inventor, and writer. And he wrote a book called WUFO, UFO under an alias named LA Eagle Men, something like that. And from what they understand, is that our group has the only known copy that still exists of that book. And they say it's in the Ogden collection. So apparently they saw our list before our site got taken down and found it in there. So in an effort to know more about them, they want to love to have access to read the material. And I said, yeah, it's kind of during the snow time. So I said, yeah, we have to wait till our snow dies down and then gotta contact Roger about it. But I thought, yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting.
I got the box, 2 totes full of all the stuff organized as all the book collection that he had.
I thought we had a lot of the stuff with Roger, don't we?
Steve took all the stuff
From Roger?
I think you got. I don't have DVDs. There was in the filing cabinet back up at Durham. There's that whole DVD collection.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that. I've got the paperback books that all belong to Hub Ogden, and the teletype and the vintage Flying Saucer magazines, the big ones.
Okay.
And the rest of that. So I have whatever's that I posted on that Excel spreadsheet that was on the website that listed every piece.
Well, I'm glad you came to the meeting today.
So
Yeah, I thought we moved all that stuff to one of Roger's garages. I know, Fred, you were there when we did.
yeah, but I think Steve took a lot of the
Okay.
Hub Ogden stuff. So if that's something I could, along with the value, just somebody.
The value just went up. Yeah, go ahead.
The reason I went for is because I was getting pushback from his helpers over the phone. If you write the page directly how to contact him, hey, you're not in his area, you're not in his jurisdiction, because he's a representative of Tennessee. So I'm not from Tennessee. So I had to go the sneaky route of trying to email him. And it turns out of everybody who had emails, he did not have a listed email. So I had to piece that together. So that's why all of that stuff happened. And that's the end of my story. Not a constituent. Yes, I'm not a constituent. So I had to.
I emailed Congressman Bacon about it a couple of times, and I got back like a reply.
Well, I was like, thank you for your comments on the conflict in Israel and like all this other stuff. And I was like, that is not what I'm emailing you about.
Yeah, if you contact people who are not in Tim Burchett's expertise field, it's going to be touch and go because they don't really care.
Probably have AI reply back to you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's like about Israel.
I got Deb Fisher. I got an actual response from Deb Fisher though about the topic. That
Kyle,
was, I mean, it was very bland, nothing.
Kyle? Kyle? Maureen Richmond here. That clip of Burchett speaking from his home office with the 2 rifles behind him
Yep.
is not new. That's been in news clips for, I think, about 6 weeks or so right now.
Yeah, yeah, I was gonna cover it at the last meeting, but we ran over as we often do. I don't know if it's last meeting or even the meeting before that. Yeah, I just put it on here, and if we don't get to it, I push it off to the next meeting, but. So yeah, not new, but it's new that, you know, we had somebody here contact them. And I just kind of wanted to encourage that for everybody, even if they're not our congressmen, if these people, you know, if congressmen are in the UFOs or something, you have something you want to talk to them about, I think we should be reaching out to them, you know.
The talk that I gave here, technically not new either. The whole time frame is back many months now. So my talk happened first. My outreach to Tim Burchett was back about then. And then in the past as well, he made that video where he seemed to kind of allude to the idea that he thinks a lot of people are exposed to this. And who knows what he meant by that.
It is not necessarily new news, but I thought it was something we should bring up about it. I think it ties into my next thing here on QED, maybe. Yeah, so QED, so this was something that we've done. We contacted Bacon on our warp drive experiment. We've contacted a lot of people, but Bacon was the only one that got back to us on this one. And we talked to his aide about it, and we did a presentation in his office here in town on it. So, you never know who you get a hold of somebody who's interested in it. You might be able to get, some information onto them. And I think it's important if they're supposed to be representing, the people, even if it's not in our area. I mean, there's only so many congressmen that are interested in UFO stuff. So it's like, hey, reach out, you never know, somebody might hear what you want to say, and they might talk about it in a news clip. Everybody's being seen by UFOs, or about everybody, as he says. Can't remember if I talked about this in December or not, but we've had our newest experiment for QED has come out. So for people who don't know, quantum electrodynamics is run by Dave Paris, and we do it in like space warp experiments with a device that kind of replicates thunderstorm environment, and then we see some very weird results, such as a force created. We see laser being redshifted. We get objects to move in between, other in a enclosed case. So this is kind of like a side project of, what our group has been working on. We have a lot of different side projects, and we don't really talk about them as much as we should, I think. I think, Russ, with your stuff, that's kind of a side project too. You have a whole bunch of information on this. You did a presentation. There's something that comes out of this group. Just our, mixing and matching of different ideas and critical thinking and back and forth. So I just wanted to bring up that. Yes, critical thinking, Fred. But yeah, I just wanted to bring up that in December, I think we had a 11 Newton experiment. So we're actually getting a lot of pull on our newest model. And before that, we had another one in June that was about 5 to 6 Newton. So we're getting a lot of force on this. I just wanted to get that out there. We have a newsletter on our website, qed.com. And we have the video is also on there. It's on our YouTube. You search QED. It's, any social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, what is now X, on there. Can't remember if I showed it at the meeting or not, but yeah, I don't want to take up too much time on this. Take up as much time. If there's more people who are interested in it, we can always talk more. I was trying to get Dave to present at our symposium coming up, but yeah, he had a conflict, so. We got Steve now, which if you want to, Steve, you can give us a little
John Foster, yeah.
preview after I get done with this. Just so you know, I'm putting you on the hot spot, so give you a heads up. One other thing I was doing for QED is trying to get it more out there is, well, the first thing is a Patreon. So we now have a Patreon. We're not really giving out any benefits, but we've had people who want to be they just want to donate to the project. So I'm like, we've tried different things, different links through banks and stuff, and it hasn't really been working out too much. But yep, I did kind of space tiers, and You can give all the way up to like, I think I have like 500, you know, for the, you know, if we get an Elon Musk in there, what's the donate? But yeah, no, I might put some videos on there, like behind the scenes stuff. But yeah, basically the $1 tier will just open up everything. You know, I'm not really here to like make some kind of money scheme to like get stuff. It's like, hey, if you want to donate, you can donate. If not, that's totally fine too, you know. But this is something I was thinking about doing for our UFO group here too, because, you know, we need money for the website, which we're working on. We don't know if we want to do a Google Workspace for that or what. And then we, you know, we also pay $100 every year for MUFON for the registration for the state, and then Greg pays for most of the Flight Radar 24, but we'd like to donate, you know, money to that as well. So there's a lot of stuff that we just, you know, we just collect money here as a group, and, you know, we kind of rag tag it together. But maybe a Patreon would be good. I'm not sure. But anyways, I did that for QED, you know, get that going. I think we got 6 donators on there. You know, we get like $30 a month or something right now. But so I got that going for QED. And then another thing is Reddit, the Reddit community, which I'll go into more here in a bit. But yeah, I started up a QED _ NE subreddit. So I posted all our experiments on there, past interviews, other people's papers that are you know, that they did on our project and stuff like that, and different examinations of things and stuff on there. And we've got, I think, I just started that in January, and I think we got like 3,000 views on all the different posts. So it's actually a pretty active community, even just for starting out. I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just posting stuff on there, and people are looking at it, and we're getting some comments and stuff on there. So that's kind of interesting. I haven't done much on Reddit. Does anybody in here do Reddit? Okay, so we got 2 people. It might be more for the younger crowd, so that's what, you know.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so we got one in the audience too. That's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kyle, Mel
Yeah.
Van Bickel here. I've been perusing Reddit recently. My first encounter with it was because we had a case submitted to Missouri. Actually, 2 different people reported the same sighting, and one of them cited the fact that they had also seen it reported on Reddit. So I started listening to Reddit, and recently I got in touch with one of the moderators on the Reddit website, because I noticed that when you press the button that says report a UFO, MUFON is so far down in there, I'm not really sure we're even listed as the options for reporting a UFO. So I posted a direct complaint to one of their moderators, and I'm hoping to see that MUFON can get moved to the top of the list of people that you can report a sighting to.
Was that on Reddit that you reported that to?
No, I went directly to the person. One of the website, I think you call them moderators.
Yeah.
One of those fellows comes to our monthly meeting here in St. Louis. And so I got back with him directly, and
You know what
he
he's
said
about
he
up?
would speak to the others and work on getting us moved higher up in the queue.
Okay. Well, I was gonna talk more about that. So yeah, more on the Reddit. So yeah, for people who don't know, Reddit's just like a big forum where people post just about anything under, you know, different topics. So one is like the UFO Reddit, and they're all categorized. If I can, my mouse here, go back. Can I do pen? Okay, so yeah, if you look on here, they have this R UFO. So that would be the title of this, you know, and then they have like another title up here. But so R/UFO is one of them. But they have 2.2 million members on there. You know, one of the biggest Reddit communities out there, and they have, you know, discussion going all the time. You know, every so, you know, few hours or so they post something on there. So, and it can be anybody. They just approve the post, make sure it fits the topic, and then it'll go up, you know, and so then people can either vote on it or comment on it or share it. So they have a, you know, it's just kind of a big community that talks about things. But there's a whole bunch of different communities. So one is just R UFOs. They have another one for R aliens, and they have one, for R space, if you just want to look at space stuff that happens. But it's a large forum, lots of information, lots of people interacting. Yeah, and then this here, so they have the report a sighting thing. I'll go back a slide here. So down here they have links, and I saw on there, they have a UFO wiki, Discord, Twitter, investigate a sighting, and report a sighting. And so I clicked on report a sighting, and it took me to this page, and they have like all these different other areas, organizations, I guess I'm not sure what exactly investigate a sighting does on here, but when I was looking at the different organizations, like you say, they don't even list MUFON. MUFON's not even listed here on this community, so there's
It's down at the very bottom, under additional organizations.
under additional organizations.
So it's actually below international groups. So there's, all the ones with it, like, that are listed there, Newport and all these other ones. And then, you get international groups, so from a different country, there's all those ones. And finally, additional.
Okay, well, maybe they did that. I thought last time I looked, I didn't see it on there. So maybe,
Oh, we're down there at the bottom of the page, but I complained vociferously and rudely to the particular moderator that I knew directly, and explained that if nothing else, go with the oldest, for heaven's sakes. We got 1969. Anybody comes in and wants to beat that. And I also explained to him how MUFON is the only organization I see on there that's going to actively admit that they actively investigate the sighting. The rest of them may take your information and run, or many of them just simply don't investigate. And they don't make any bones about it. They say they don't do the active investigation. We do. And so I complained really loudly to him about that, and I'm hoping they'll vote to move us up on the list.
Well, one thing I've known in the Reddit community is they're kind of like, I don't know, very proud about their moderator status.
I know that
they know best. So when you complain to them, it's not always the best avenue. But yeah, hopefully we get something.
Well,
going.
he wanted to give a talk to our Missouri MUFON meeting, so I kind of said, "Well, why bother if you're not even going to put us on the first page?"
Yeah,
and I got an answer. So, sorry.
No, it's all good.
Aliens, we're on each.
They're one page where they say investigate, and they give some really excellent examples of a lot of the things that we run into all the time as commonly explainable. They do a really good job of presenting what they present, I think.
Yeah. Bartlett, yeah.
Very interesting you'd show that.
You started the meeting by sharing McDonald's report here. We're signing up as many as, 19, 20 investigators a day?
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot. We got hard.
Yeah, we got a lot of people who are interested in everything, but I mean, I think they're talking about UFO cases kind of been down recently, but
I think people also, a lot of them are reporting to other places because the MUFON database not being accessible to people unless they're.
There's a huge barrier for wanting to even report to MUFON.
Yeah.
Because knowing it's like, I'm not going to be able to help other people without contributing to an organization.
Yeah, and that was actually, I think, the next thing. Oh, I'm putting dots somehow. Whoop. Let's go to the next page. So yeah, what you're just talking about is that, even if you do report it, you doesn't mean you have access to the information. So here is somebody trying to track down their own MUFON report, which MUFON does have a subreddit. So you have our MUFON. I don't know if it's run by MUFON people or who exactly does this, but it's on there and they have some posting, but it seems kind of slow. They're not really posting, a lot of stuff. I added my Space Warp stuff on there, since this is a project that comes right out of UFO research. I thought, hey, it'd be interesting, but I haven't seen them post it yet or anything. So, and I haven't heard, sometimes they'll send, if you make a post, they'll send back, be like, oh, this isn't in our category, or, some reason why they don't want to post it. They'll usually give you feedback on a lot of these different forums or subreddits. But I haven't heard anything from the MUFON one. So I don't know if it's, maybe those people are inactive or what's going on, but I
Well,
think they
we have
posted,
our own observer network that's supposed to be similar functionality to this website.
well, yeah, the Observer Network too, I think is kind of private, right? It's not public information. You have to sign up for it to get access to post and all that kind of stuff, right?
You know what? I don't know.
I believe you have to have a MUFON, at least membership.
Yes, it's only for MUFON members, not the public.
Okay. Okay.
That's what MUFON Observers is. It's a social side of the main MUFON website, MUFON.com.
Well, see, I don't even have a Facebook presence, and I've purposely avoided all these kind of websites, but I'm finding it necessary to do so now. So I'm a complete ignorant fool when it comes to these things.
Oh, hey, you're not the only one. Like I said, I just got into doing Reddit like this year. So, but there's a lot of people, a lot of younger people who use this. They throw all their stuff on there. Same for social media. So might be something.
Listen to you talking about younger people. You gotta be my age.
I watch Reddit regularly and have been for quite some time. It has its pluses and its minuses. There's a lot of questionable material that gets up there. It's very difficult to track it down to its ultimate source and find out exactly where it's coming from with the provenance and the date and everything that you need to know. It looks like hearsay a lot of times. And another thing, you cannot post on Reddit until you have spent a certain amount of time making clicks on it. It's called this little karma system. It's weird as heck.
Yeah,
I've been on for an entire year and I still can't post.
You should be able to post. It just depends on.
No, I can't. I can't. It won't let me. The system will not let me.
Each community has their own set of rules that you're supposed to like abide by. So like some will say you have an account
I'm
for
talking about our UFO. I'm talking about our UFO, r/UFO.
Yeah, I don't know what their rules are on posting.
I do. I do. You have to make a certain amount of approval clicks on other posts before you accumulate enough credit to be allowed to.
Yeah, the karma. Yeah.
You have to have your posts get it. So if you make comments on that.
Well, like click up, that's how you get it. So it's like not clicking on other people's, but having people click on your comments. So you need to do like, what?
Same, it comes down to the same thing. It really does come down to the same thing, which is it's very difficult to accumulate the necessary number of points by whatever system or whatever method they're using. I just don't post. I just read as a result of this. But it's, you know, it's still, it's important to see because it's it definitely will show you what the big brouhaha of the moment is, what the you know, the community is following at the time. Now, whether the story is of substance or not is a different question.
Yeah. So yeah, each community, they have different kind of rules and it's kind of based on the moderators. That's where you get a lot of like kind of like a hive mind sensation. So like if, you know, somebody has a community that's a UFO community and they're like, oh, we only deal with the nuts and bolts stuff and we don't deal with any of the, you know, the ERT experiencer stuff, abductions. Well, you'll never get an abduction posted on that subreddit. So you have to find a different place to go. And the bigger communities, you know, they have a lot more sway. You know, if you have 2.2 million people who read these posts, they're probably like, well, you got to have so much karma of the post. It's got to be of this credibility. You got to have, you know, if you post a video, you got to post a description comment, all this kind of stuff. And yeah, again, and like the karma stuff is very hard to build up if, you know, you can't get on to any post. So you have to kind of, as I'm finding out with QED, you know, some places they won't take any of my posts on there, but there's other communities that are more acceptable and will take your post. And like, you know, you get comment and feedback and stuff on that, kind of the smaller ones. And then if you get karma, then maybe you can move to the bigger ones. I don't know. It's a whole thing. So, but there's a lot of people on there is what I'm getting at. It seems like a pretty active community. I think MUFON should be on there and maybe our own group, maybe we could have a Reddit or something on there too to post, you know, our stuff that goes on. And then the other
Question for you, Kyle.
Go ahead.
One of the things that bothered me was that up on the top left where it says /r MUFON and underneath it, it says important peach 2375. That's the identifying username of the person making the post. And I mean, they came up with, when I tried to make a reply to something, it came up with some strange name for me too. And I didn't know, is it doing that to me or for me or on purpose? It's total anonymity in that regard.
Yeah, I think it comes up with like a automatic name for you, but you can change it to whatever you want, at least once or something. And then I don't know if they have a paid version where you can change it more, but I think they let you pick the name if you want, but they will come up with like a random name for you.
Oh, okay.
I think,
Okay,
don't quote me on
thank you,
that.
sir. I didn't know who to even ask.
And then, yeah, the only other thing I wanted to point out is some of the other big ones out there. They have, yeah, Our Aliens. It's got almost 1 million members, I think. Aliens Among Us, Ancient Aliens, Our Conspiracy had a lot of stuff on there. Futurology is more of a science-based one. But yeah, they just have a whole bunch of different communities. It's hard to go through and know which ones are the good ones and which ones I don't like and stuff like that. So it'll take some time, but
A good one's experiencers.
Our Experiencers.
Yeah, that one's very good. It's a small community. Very good rules as far as like what's posting, what's allowed, as far as
What subjects are on topic and what like you can't question. So like it's a good safe space for just being able to talk about it.
Okay. Yeah, again, yeah, like some would be more on the consciousness side and some would probably be on the more nuts and bolts side or image investigating side or something like that. So yeah, I guess that was questions, but we kind of covered them as I went along. So upcoming events, I'll just continue on. And Greg looks comfortable over there.
Don't have a half hour, but still.
Should I cover this and have Steve do a little preview before? Okay. So yeah, the only thing wanted to cover on here, our UFO study group's 2024 symposium. It's going to be March 16th.
Next month, our meeting.
So that'll be next month. Yeah, we won't be doing a meeting. We'll just be doing the symposium, you know, since we're going to be there for 4 hours. You look confused, Fred.
Are we gonna do a Zoom call on this?
For our meeting? No, there's gonna be no, I'm cancel the meeting. We're already doing the 4-hour event that we gotta prepare for. Yeah, I'll try to videotape it. Yeah, so it's gonna be here at the university. I guess I don't know if I'm gonna do an online stream like I do this, you know, through Zoom or something. We'll figure that out later. Time 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., $10 for adults, and then any students or kids get in for free. We're gonna have Margie K talk about Thor and do some medical intuition readings, which is, I mean, she's been here before and that meeting went excellent. That was one of our, we had a full room and everybody was engaged with it. It was great. Katie Page gonna be doing the high strangeness on the Colorado Ranch. And she's the Colorado MUFON state director. And then we're gonna be having Steve Snodgrass, the president of Omaha UFO Study Group, be doing a presentation on why ufology, and he's gonna be talking about John Foster. And if you want, I see you have a big box there. Is that part?
The reason I asked to go last that day is we were driving up to Chicago and we'll be driving back from Chicago that day, and so I wasn't sure if I was gonna make it on time for when it starts.
Yeah, come on. They won't be able to hear anything you're saying back there, so.
What I brought, Kyle, is
some swag.
back when we had these symposia on a more regular basis, I just have signs to post out front.
Ooh.
Although this one says CPAX 101, but that would still get them in the door.
We can scratch it up.
Still get them in the door.
CPAX, it's still on CPAX.
And then big banners. I really like the new banner that that's really.
I designed it, Greg paid for it and
That's
puts
really
it up. Oh, there you go, Steve. You're the highlight.
I have my total solar eclipse. We're going down to Texas for the total solar eclipse. We're all going down to Marines and watch the solar eclipse. Gonna be ready for us, Marine? So I brought all that swag for someone to take home with them today, since I don't think I'm gonna be here in time.
Okay,
if we
I'll
wanna
grab it, yeah.
put any of that stuff up. So,
I was just, okay, for a preview, I guess, when we met at the Chinese restaurant and decided, and somebody had the idea that we should have a symposium again.
I'll take credit.
I don't know what everybody else in the restaurant was thinking about that group of 6 or 8 of us over there at that table. Did they have any idea who we were? I don't know.
Probably not.
But I had originally, the first presentation I did back in 2010 when we had a symposium, sort of incorporated John Foster's story. John Foster is, well, I don't need to pull up a website. JohnFosterUFOs.com is his WordPress blog, and he continues to update that on a regular basis. He's the gentleman from Lincoln who was on an interview with, okay, I'm going to test your age here, Carol Schrader from KETV, and Dr. Kasher had a UNO interview at the Student Union. Student Center,
Yeah.
Milo Bayo, yeah. And so he's also one, I don't remember who all might have gone. I know you did, Fred, because you are one of his familiar strangers. But we did a tour of Omaha, came up and drove around in a van to look at the sightings or the locations where John Foster had what he described as time travel experiences. Here's a man who, beginning in 1986, had a sudden flood of recollections, some extremely complex and lengthy experiences, some really brief or just glimpses, what we describe as flashbulb imprints. And I had used, I figured if I'm going to come up with what I developed was a way to establish better validity claims for UFO reports, I was kind of thinking I had bigger britches than I actually do. And so, well, this whole MUFON stuff, there needs to be a different way to report this to account for different. So I thought I'd just change the whole thing. But I wanted to see that, okay, the system for MUFON has to be able to account for stories like his, along with, I appreciate the ERT emphasis that they're having come along, because if MUFON is only nuts and bolts, and it doesn't capture what Jacques Vallée and who's the other Condon report guy, biggest name in ufology,
Kane and all those.
how to go T. Why am I blanking?
J. Allen Hynek.
Thank you very much. You win. So, well, and J. Allen Hynek, as well as Jacques Vallée, from back in the 70s, were looking, look, the types of reports that we're getting have much more to do with ERT kind of impossible physics issues, with things winking in and out and manifesting in and more psychological consciousness type of experiences, that both of them ended up concluding that the interdimensional hypothesis would match the data much better than the extraterrestrial, actually visitors from other planets somehow breaking the speed of light. And nothing against space warp, but that was their conclusion. And so I've tried to wrap my head around John Foster's experiences. He's cataloged some 3,000 experiences that he's had. Fortunately, he's an artist. And so there are artist renderings that are all over his website that I'm going to use and incorporate in this. My goal, I was telling Karen, I thought I had a great idea and was finished with the talk last week. And then I woke up at 4 o'clock this morning and I was like, this is not going to work. Because my goal was to try and take his experiences and match them up with what I know about recent studies in science, third-person perspective, full body illusions, immersing you in virtual reality, to kind of suggest that out-of-body experiences are not that difficult to provoke, is one. I'm looking at the way traumatic experiences are registered in the brain. What can account for, okay, you have a sudden recollection of these 3,000 experiences. We know memory is faulty, right? Well, what we know about trauma, people experiencing trauma victims, which is how John Mack had always described experiencers, as it's not as though they have a psychotic disorder or a delusional disorder that can explain why they're coming up with these stories. It's the fact that they had experienced something, it was traumatic, and their description of it sounds a lot more like a person who is a victim of any kind of trauma, whether that's war veterans or sexual abuse victims or gun violence victims. You have flashbulb memories, and as adrenaline races through your system, that can cause those a memory enhancement, but they can appear fragmented memories. And so that's, as I read through John's reports, well, yeah, this looks like he has, I saw this, and here's an image. It was a flashbulb memory, and he pains to try and get the story right in saying, here's what I did remember, here's what I did know, here's what I did hear, here's what I did see. He takes just as much pain to describe that as he does, here's what I didn't see, here's what I don't remember, here's what I didn't hear, and I'm not sure about this. So his approach, the way he's written in his books, just erupts with credibility for me, that he feels like, yes, it was profoundly disturbing and traumatic and didn't want to talk about it, but at the same time, it was the most impactful, meaningful experience that he considers central in his life and of utmost importance to get the story right and to communicate it. So what I'm going to try to do is tie together some of his very complex experiences, including some of the time travel piece, and try to connect that to scientific experiments and studies that can try and lend credibility that it's not only possible or plausible, but this stuff probably did happen to him. And what does that mean about this weird universe we're living in? So I'm going to try to pull it off, but as of last week, I was not pulling it off. And I listened to it from like a third person perspective, as if I was giving that talk, as that guy doesn't make any sense. So I have to try again, but I wish for your blessings to try and
You're calling some of the biggest names in the UFO.
because Jan Allen Hynek agrees with me. Jacques DeLay agrees with me.
I have a question for you, sir.
Yeah.
Are you saying that all of his experiences were not pleasant?
Correct. What I have
I'm going to disagree with you. When I traveled in time several times for weeks at end, I didn't find that at all unpleasant. Matter of fact, it was quite interesting.
Right.
And it was it ranged back to almost 3,000 years ago.
Well, and what I had noticed as a pattern in many reports, I appreciate what you're saying, and I can imagine if you had a sudden shock and disbelief in what happened, but it was a pleasant experience, wonderful. I think what I have noticed a lot in many reports, especially those from John Mack and others who've interviewed witnesses, is kind of this dual aspect. That was absolutely terrifying. It wasn't as though I got probed in the medical experiment, but I had a loss of control, and my mind was expanded in a way that I was not comfortable understanding. That could be the shock of an unpleasant experience. But then the more common one is what you describe, which is, holy crap, that was incredibly meaningful. And that became a life-changing moment for me. So it's that dual aspect that I hear a lot, that I certainly notice in John Foster's.
Say John John Foster is an engineer. He works with facts, figures, nuts and bolts. And he had a flood of memories, just like a full download of all these experiences throughout his childhood, through his adult, it all came at one time. So he's overwhelmed. So he's gonna be like, his mind was shifted, like, I don't even believe in any of this crap. And then all of a sudden it comes to me. And I walked in at Power Landing and his jaw dropped and says, I saw you on the craft, Fred. So that just blew him away as well. Realistically, people walking in on his life that he had memories of, no understanding, here's the craft, and here I walk in, and he has to deal with me, the real person, saying, I saw you on the craft, Fred.
And it would explain, I guess, if you describe his
Wouldn't that shock you?
well, his personality that way is a hard-nosed, facts-based.
Yes.
I'm interested, I'm curious, but I'm not gonna accept this.
Right.
And to have him thrust into this experience, you can see the terror.
He struggled.
Absolutely. So it probably does depend on your personality. If you're one who's open to experience and enthusiastic about any kind of contact that you might have, it perhaps could not be traumatic. I'm not suggesting that you have to have trauma or else your experience is invalid. I didn't mean to suggest that.
Yeah, I just want to tell John's perspective though, that's good.
Yep. So lots of drawings, probably have 50 or 60 drawings of his that are really wild.
But the rest of his life was spent in the UFO phenomenon.
Yep. And a local filmmaker has just finished interviewing and filming him for a 90-minute documentary. Probably just going to be a local filmmaker, not a national feature film or anything like that. But John's daughter promised me that if they have a 10-minute snippet of what this interview documentary is going to have, that I'd be able to preview it at our symposium, but haven't gotten it yet. So hope you find it interesting.
I will let Maureen go. I think you had a question. Or comment?
Yeah, it's a comment. It's more of a comment. How much time do we have right now?
We're in the last 15 minutes.
17 minutes.
Okay, thank you. So, what was the name of the gentleman who just spoke, please, again?
Steve Snodgrass.
And he's going to be presenting for you in March at your symposium, correct?
Yep.
Wonderful. I appreciate that synopsis of what he'll be talking about. And he brought up a really good point, and that we're all talking about and thinking about it all the time, and that's the controversy between the space voyage theory of extraterrestrial visitation versus the dimensional theory of extraterrestrial appearance, or whatever it might be. Lately, I've been doing a bunch of research. I've mentioned it to quite a few of you several times, so this is not new information, but I've just finally done a big piece of compiling and tallying, and I know what my results are now. So I've looked at about 145, exactly 145 UFO sightings and encounters that have known clock times, dates, and places associated with them, drawing my data from various sources, including MUFON Journal and CUFOS and David Marler and Richard Dolan, Jacques Vallée, all kinds of sources, so that I got as broad and diverse a sample as I possibly could. And it includes mass sightings, group sightings, and individual sightings, all that have known clock time, place, and date, so that I could do a proper astrological calculation for each one. And once I had done all that, I tested for basically 4 areas of indication. And one of them was angularity, and that is celestial bodies positioned at the ascendant, midheaven, descendant, or the nadir point, celestial bodies in retrograde motion, celestial bodies in aspect, and so forth. I have a list of all that if you need it. What stunned me is that the most aspected body in UFO sightings is the sun. It's not a planet, it's a star, but we can measure the conjunctions to the arrangements with the planets nonetheless. Sun, the most frequent aspect is a conjunction, but the most frequently emphasized planet by angularity is Pluto. And if you measure by retrograde motion, the most frequently accented planet by retrograde motion during this 145 sightings is Pluto. So this is odd because it points to the center of the solar system and the periphery of the solar system as the frame of reference where the big powers are operating. I don't know what that means, but it suggests to me some kind of physical relationship with the greater space environment. It suspiciously looks like some kind of connection between the edge and the center. That leads me to think it might have to do with actual space travel. I don't know for sure, but it certainly is something interesting to think about. And I'll be writing this up. It'll go up on my website, The Astrology of World Events, probably in the next couple of days. Thank you.
Hey, sounds great. Thanks for giving us an update on it. Up next.
Can I intervene here?
Sure.
Can you hear me?
Go for it. What do you got?
Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, my name's Mark Wentz. So I'm doing active research in interdimensional travel at a very unique site down in Arkansas named Board Camp Crystal Mine. Without going into all the details, we have these extremely anomalous light events that seem to be associated with magnetic field surges. And I'm a physicist by background, quantum physics in particular. And this discussion between contemporary space travel versus interdimensional contact, I think my personal opinion with the work that I've been doing for about 5 years, I think both are true. At Board Camp, we've been able to photograph and experience directly, myself included, multiple times, and photograph. We have substantial physical evidence, or we have physical evidence of interdimensional travel, contact with a multiple of humanoid entities that are clearly not from our realm. They have gone into some of my friends. They've taken them. I've been taken over by an energy surge that comes out of these light events. They're extremely unusual. I mean, my goodness sakes, what happens to you when these interdimensional veils, I call them veils, people call them portals, when these things open up, the physics as we know it does not work. It's completely different. I've documented this, but we've also, at this exact same site, as Maureen knows, we have very clear video of triangular ships penetrating into this area. It's a crystal region in the Ouachita Mountains. We've seen these triangular ships multiple times emerge and submerge into the mountain. They go just straight into it. And there's frequently a significant light event that either precedes or precedes that action. We're studying this intensely. But my point is, we not only see interdimensional effects that we've validated, we also see the extraterrestrial ship travel of several types. I've seen the triangular ships. I've seen the big long cigar types, the tic tacs. We have the orbs. We have the magnetic anomalies. We have the light events. They all correspond. It's a very active field of research. I'm sort of, I guess I've been appointed sort of the lead scientist for this. So with Maureen's work, as I've learned about it, my personal opinion is it's an energy conduit that the ships follow into planet Earth, but associated with that is also an interdimensional aspect. I think both are at play here. Of course, obviously, I feel like a fish that's been thrown on the wharf. I'm flopping around trying to figure out what's going on in this other realm, and I get thrown back in, and I try to tell my little fish about it and they don't have a clue what the hell I'm talking about. So we're in that aspect. People get taken at this crystal mine. They get abducted, and they go into a realm, and the descriptions of what happens are all the same. When they go into this other realm, when you go into the light, if you get there fast enough, you'll enter a realm where you have this. It's sort of like these tubes of light are at your feet, and they're about knee deep. They're bright. They're wiggling around like giant pool noodles of light, swirling around you, swarming around you at your feet. And you look off in the distance and you see multitudes of ships coming in and out with multitudes, literally dozens of humanoid-like, not all humanoid-like, but many humanoid-like creatures. And they don't at first know you're there, and they turn around and say, whoa, you're not supposed to be here. Then they come over and they zap you, they mark you, they implant you. And then one of the abductees was escorted out by a Sasquatch-like entity. And then you show up, pop back into regular Earth, and you're out of time. You've gone through a missing time, usually about an hour. So it's an extremely interesting spot. It happens actually about once a week, as the owner of the property says. So I think both these aspects are true. I'm interested in hearing what John Foster's story is about. I've gone through several of these time-lapse events in my life. Most prominently out in Sycamore Canyon, west of Sedona. I've had an abductee event out there myself personally. It's very interesting what's going on here. I think Maureen is really onto something. She has latched onto a correlation between the planetary positioning with Pluto and the sun. And I don't know what to make out of it, but keep in mind, Pluto is not in the ecliptic plane. It's angled out at squirrely in a weird angle. So therefore, it's not planet 9 because it's not on the ecliptic plane. I'm wondering if some of those dwarf planets in the Kuiper Belt are acting as basically light towers to attract perhaps or act as a signpost for extraterrestrials, and it might have something to do with the connection between the energies with the interdimensional connections, and then it acts like a beacon that brings the extraterrestrials into our planet. I don't know. Something's very, very curious going on with Maureen's work, and we don't know what it means yet, but it is significant. So it's all tying together. So I needed to intervene and mention this because of this topic.
I want to give some credibility about the fields down in that area in Arkansas. I was going to say even the crystal fields themselves probably draw in the UFOs with the dimensional shift. I was in Jessieville, Arkansas, way back in the 90s with my wife, and we were digging crystals, and that night we had an abduction. And then also too, I was up off of Shimei, Alaska, and I was taken, and I found myself flying over the tops of these very oak trees. And I went to the crystal cities. And I don't know if any of your abductees have had experiences of being in the crystal cities, where I saw huge crystalline cities with UFOs flying throughout. It's almost like an inner world, And so I agree with you. And when I went to Jessieville, I go, this is where I went. I went from the end of a evolution chain. I was taken and I saw the whole event. I went from various different crystal cities, from one city to another city. And that was back in 1984 when I had that experience. And then we dug crystals down in Jessieville. And so that relates a lot of credibility of all the abductees, in that area, especially with crystals, So I'm sure they're using the crystals for dimensional shifting and energy and things of that nature. that, do you find that true?
Yeah, that's exactly what I think is going on.
Exactly.
I have other contacts that have, basically the entities that we've contacted on the other side has say that there's something about, they say they need the silicon dioxide vibrational frequencies to amplify, to be able to open up the connection between the universes, essentially. The universes exist in a slightly different, it's very Star Trek-ish. They're slightly out of phase, energy wise and frequency wise, sort of like the Planck constant's a little different. And so there's a slight energy difference, and for some reason, the molecular resonant vibrational frequency of silicon dioxide is just right to allow them to amplify and be able to essentially tunnel from one universe to our universe. Now, why they do that, the hows and whys, the intentions, I don't know, but there is apparently something unique about silicon dioxide in its crystalline form that you see in the Jesseville area and that you also see down in the board camp area. I don't know, that's just a working, well, it's not just my working theory, it's sort of what we've been told by the entities on the other side. They have directly told us that.
Okay.
That it is the vibrational frequency of the silicon dioxide molecule when it is in a particular crystalline arrangement that allows them to amplify and tunnel into our universe. That's what I have learned. So it backs up everything you just said.
All right, well, we'll have to, I mean, this is a very interesting topic. We can have, you guys.
Yeah,
talk
we could
more.
go on forever and ever on this. That's true.
Yeah, forever and ever. That's for sure. We just want to do one last thing. If I can get Tamara to come up, we'll cover the Bigfoot conference. That's coming up. So our conference, March 16th. I'll try to get something online for that. And if I can click this, there we go. Hand over to Tamara, and then we'll wrap it up after this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm helping out Harriet again with the Nebraska Bigfoot Conference. It's the 26th and 27th in Grand Island this year. It's always been in Hastings before. But it's going to be at basically Fauner Park in Grand Island, and it's going to be in the Aurora Cooperative Pavilion. And so it's a huge place, has an excellent, like a 12-foot by 16-foot TV screen. So it should be a really good presentation, good venue. And we have about 11 speakers here that will be speaking, some local people, some people we've had before. We're actually gonna have Steve Berg, who's gonna talk about Nebraska Bigfoot stories. And Brian Corey will be our MC again. He MC'd for the first time last year. Alan and Ron will be there again, showing their movie, The Bigfoot of Bailey. And they talk about, a lot of the physical stuff, but they also talk about consciousness and some of the unusual paranormal type stuff you see with around Bigfoot. And then we'll also be showing The Flash of Beauty, Paranormal Bigfoot. That one premiered, I believe, at the Utah Phenomenon. I think it might have been earlier. I think it was last year is when it premiered. And actually the writers and directors and producers of that movies are native Nebraskans, so they wanted to be part of the conference. I think we're having Dave Scott from Space Out Radio will be there as well, along with Christian McLeod, Cryptic Guy. Blaine will be back again. He spoke last year. And Jim Myers will also be there. He's a Bigfoot researcher from Colorado. He has a Sasquatch Outpost in Bailey, Colorado. And then Duke Sullivan will be back again from World Bigfoot Radio. So it should be a good setup. We have a lot of vendors that'll come out selling all kinds of different stuff. The movies will be Friday night, and they'll be both Friday all day, and then the movies kind of till about 8 p.m. and then all day Saturday will be the rest of the speakers.
All right. Any questions? Going once, going twice.
Right here in Nebraska.
Right here in Nebraska, yeah. All right, I think that's about all we got. Unless Greg wanted to do anything. Next meeting, I guess we won't be doing one for the March 16th since we're doing the symposium. Again, I don't know if I'll get it online, but I'll try to post something if I, want to set it up online to video, for people.
We're gonna be able to stream it for $10. There you go.
It's treatment for $10. Well, maybe if they do the Patreon thing, if somebody gets on the Patreon, we can have it posted so that they can pay and then, you know, maybe that'll work out or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But thanks for everybody for coming by and
Thanks, Maureen.
yeah, thanks for Maureen for all the updates.
Mitch, Paul, John, Kurt, Monty.
All right.
Roger.
And Roger, for sure. All right. We'll see everybody later.
Have a good one. Take care, everybody.